I'm going to take you inside one of the most challenging remodeling projects I've seen in a while. Local builder called me out because they've got this big addition that's going on in an older house in the middle of Louisville, and they're adding on a garage. They've done another addition on the opposite side of the house. They basically gutted, I'd say 80% of this house. Between all the different changes in roof lines, the different pitches of roof lines, it's just a really challenging house to figure out how to insulate properly. So figured this would be a good one to show you guys kind of how I go through and look at houses before they get drywalled and how to insulate these things properly. So I'm standing in what's going to be the new garage, and this thing's massive. It's going to be heated. They've added this whole thing brand new to the existing house. The original garage was sitting right over here, and it had actually cinder block walls. Had to frame it up. Now this is still garage on the other side of this. So when I come through here, this is the exterior. This is the original part of the exterior of the garage. So added on this to expand this way. And then this was all cinder block walls. So they framed out on the garage side, put R3 foam board on this side, and then R3 foam board on the other side of the concrete block. And then this is all going to get foamed, spray foamed open cell on top of this. So you come in and see this is the original plaster walls right here. This is cinder block. And then there's the other side of the cinder block. So, but this is the other side that I was just looking at from the garage side. So that's what's going to get. They added blocking in between right there so that the spray foam will have something to go up against. And then the attic's going to get foamed. So completely conditioned attic. So another little detail that often gets missed whenever you have these kind of bump outs from a house is the underside of the roof right here. And again, because there's such a low pitch roof right above here, I mean, the best way to do this is with spray foam. You really don't want to put fiberglass on that. You've only got, you know, a 2x6, and then they kind of, you know, shimmed it down a little bit. So that's going to get spray foamed. You can see right here, coming through here. Short pitch roof connecting into this. So the way that this house had to get framed because of the design really makes it challenging to insulate properly. Here's another spot. This connection right here, this part of the attic's going to get spray foamed. And you've got blocking in the way for drywall. You've also got the roof deck coming down. You've got another nailer right here. So all these things are making it difficult for the spray foam guy to do their job, but it's possible. But this kind of stuff needs to get pointed out. They got to get up above that right there to be able to spray foam down the roof deck and on top of the top plate of the exterior wall. Luckily, they got 2x6 walls, so they got a little bit more space. Now, one of the big challenges we had to deal with in this house is this is the original kitchen, and they were not planning on removing this wood ceiling here in the kitchen. But because they're doing spray foam insulation throughout the rest of the house, on the other side of these attic facing walls is going to be a conditioned attic space. But in this particular room, you've got recessed lights in the original tongue and groove, which, see if you can see it there. So recessed lights up there. That's not accessible from the attic. It's not going to be spray foam directly above here, or at least it wasn't going to be. And I said, look, you're spending a bunch of money on this entire house, gutted most of it. This is the only part that's not going to be accessible and spray foamed, and the only potential place where you're going to have issues with, you know, condensation maybe, mold growth or whatever, because again, there's fiberglass up above this ceiling right now, but everything else around it's going to be conditioned. So this could be a hot ceiling right next to a cooler conditioned attic with ductwork going through it. You've got several supply vents coming into this space, which frankly, it's kind of ridiculous. There's actually 6. 1, 2, 3 on this side and 3 on that side. 6 supply vents coming into this kitchen space, which is, it's probably going to be very cold afterwards. But anyway, we decided to see if the homeowner would be willing to add a little to the budget to remove the wood ceiling here, spray foam it properly so that you can connect the main attic space to this roof space, this attic space here, seal it off properly, condition the attic space so it doesn't become an issue down the road. Now, this part of the house that I'm standing in here is the master bedroom, basically wing addition here. So this is a pretty good size master bedroom with a fireplace in the middle, and there's a sitting room on the other side of this, master bathroom, and you can see it's got a vaulted ceiling. And so this will all be spray foamed on the roof up here. But the big challenge really is with this fireplace. And let me show you this. We've got one big flue pipe going up the middle, and we've got the intake for the combustion air coming down to the firebox here. So the question is, how do you insulate this? And how do you seal it at the top? So the roof deck's gonna get spray foamed with open cell foam. And the plan that we came up with, there's kind of really two options. Up at the top is really where it needs to be sealed. So if the foam comes on the roof deck past this point right here and up to the top, you can't spray foam directly onto the fireplace flue pipe because it's a hot temperature. It's just not allowed by code. So one option is to take sheet metal and try to piece in around this the fireplace flue and then where the intake pipes are, and then somehow fire caulk all that stuff together to the framing, which would be kind of a nightmare. Or the second option is you take the spray foam up the roof deck to about this interior wall right here, and then he's going to come back in with plywood or some kind of a sheathing material on the interior side of these studs, and then cut out for these two pipes right here, and then seal that plywood material to the framing. And then the insulator will basically spray foam up to this line right here and then down and around this box. So essentially, the spray foam will continue up on the roof deck all throughout here. And then when you get to this point, the foam is going to come down around here and basically create kind of a vertical insulated box around the flue pipe and allow for the combustion air pipes to go into it, but still be sealed going through the air barrier. So it's a really tricky detail. This is a very expensive fireplace and a very expensive remodel. And you want to make sure these things are done right, because if this isn't done right up here, this is going to be really cold in the wintertime when the fireplace is not running. You're going to have a lot of warm temperature right here, cold metal pipes, warm temperatures that bypass it could sweat. You could get, issues with condensation on drywall and things like that. So that's a big point that needs to be done properly, and I think we got a good game plan for it. The other thing we got out here, and this is something that gets missed a lot, is when people spray foam roof decks, when you have a cathedral ceiling like this where the drywall is going to be right up against up against the roof, when you foam this soffit right now is open, so you can see the daylight coming through it. They need to install some vertical blocking in between the roof deck and the top plate of these walls so that the spray foam guys have something to seal against all the way across here. So the blocking that you have right here is because they're going to install some beams that go across and connect to both sides, but the foam guy's still got to do his job, so they're going to add some blocking up in there to make that happen. And that's basically going to go all the way across here. So extra attention to detail, make these things go right. I see a lot of times insulation contractors will just stuff fiberglass up on the top plate of that, and then they'll foam directly onto the fiberglass. But the problem is, if that fiberglass extends at all past the front part of the top plate of the wall, then the foam doesn't really seal onto the wood as well as it should. So the foam needs to go to the back, ideally, of the sheathing. So if this sheathing just continued straight up to the roof deck, that's the best way to block that off, and then you foam directly onto that. If you're doing a big remodeling project on the house, one of the last things that you want to think about is probably replacing the ductwork in it. But if you're going to the extent of making the house new and modern and you leave old crappy ductwork like this in the house, you're missing a big opportunity to not only make the house more comfortable and efficient, but also get rid of some of the air quality problems that might be present. So in this house in particular, they're going to condition the attic space. And so all this ductwork will technically be inside, space that's basically the same temperature as the house. But if you notice, This ductwork is got the vapor barrier around the outside. It's all torn up and a lot of it's just falling apart. You can see this is a junction box going into a flex duct right here. Flex duct definitely needs to be replaced. All this stuff is really old. When the vapor barrier jacket gets torn like that, it's time to go on to new one. The other thing I see a lot is duct tape used to seal ductwork. This is a collar right here that connects a basically duct board junction box to a flexible duct right here. And you don't use duct tape for ductwork for this purpose. This is not, it's not sealed. I mean, I can only imagine how leaky this thing has been over the years, just leaking air up into the attic. But all this is going to get replaced. And the junction, any of these connections right here will get sealed. There'll be a new air handler right here. Hopefully a new filter box, media filter rack, and all this will get replaced. So in this house, we've got exhaust fans that got to get vented out somehow. And they're doing a conditioned attic, so they're spray foaming the roof deck. And so there's not a great way in this house in particular to get the ductwork for the exhaust fans out of the soffit. So that what they decided to do is go through the roof deck. There's a bath fan down over there. They've got it piped going all the way up here, supported, and it's going out a roof port right here. And then they made sure to seal the port where it goes through here. The port itself will have a damper on it to prevent any air coming back into the vent line in the wintertime. And so backdraft damper also down there at the housing, but that's how they're getting the moisture out of the bathrooms in this house because of the conditioned attic. And the last thing that they're going to do to separate this attic from the garage is build a wall basically right here. So that's the garage attic out there. They're going to have to build a wall basically right here and then insulate that, spray foam it, and put in a door to get from this attic to that attic over there. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that can go wrong in new construction and in big remodeling projects like this one. So if you've got a project that's going on that you need help with, whether you're across the country or you're local to the Kentucky area, I can do in-person inspections if you're local to me, or if you would like to schedule a remote consultation, I can do that via Zoom or FaceTime. Reach out to me at eric@myhomecomfortadvisor.com or check out learnhomecomfort.com to schedule that consultation remotely.